This is Barry Weiss, and it's Barry Weiss Photography. So today we're going to look at and work on this building here. This is a San Miguel building called the Villa Santa Monica. And so we're going to do several things on this. We're going to work on workflow principally, which is using the sliders on the right-hand side of the open program of Lightroom Classic CC, and using the sliders to adjust colors and depth and color and highlight. I said color, didn't I? And principally then using the tools of the brush up here on the top here, the brush, the radial elliptical, and the radial tool here. So let's get going. So the first thing I want to do in this is it's just much too bright. So let's bring the highlights down to start with. And let's bring exposure down. We'll even deal with the color a little bit. We'll add a little yellow to this color up in here. And the tint I don't think we need to deal with. A little bit of contrast. And shadows up. Notice with the shadow, as soon as you move that slider, what happens in the doorway. Whites, hit the option key and move your white up until it opens up, and then back down. Blacks, the same thing to the left. So we get some black into the picture. I like that already. A little clarity. And we're good to go. And the dehazing, just a little bit of vibrance. And a little bit of saturation. So notice the numbers, they're all, especially in these bottom presence area, they're very minuscule. Just a little number adds quite a bit of tweak to the image, makes it pop even more. Okay, let's come down here to the tone curve, and we're going to move highlights up. We're going to try to achieve this S-curve look. There we go. Darks down a little bit and shadows down. You don't want to get it too dark. There we go. We're not going to do anything with HSL, the hue saturation, or the split toning. Come down to details. Let's close those out so you have a little more space to work with. So sharpening. Take it up to 50, something about like that should work. If you want to check it, go to your zoom down in the left-hand corner and zoom in on the image. And look at this area on the doorway, the frame. Let's move our slider on that to look at it. Here it is with no sharpening. Here it is at about 72. And look at this noise all the way up at 150. So I think this is a pretty sharp photo. If you move this up, in this case, to where the noise just begins to pop, you'll do all right. Now the masking is for the things that are white. If it's white, it'll sharpen. If it's black, it doesn't get sharp. So that's what does it here. Noise reduction. Let's play with this one a little bit. Here it is at 0, all the way up. It takes the noise out, but it will also be flattening the picture. It doesn't, the noise and the sharpening adds a little edge to the images. So we want just a little bit of noise reduction. Good. Come on down further. Remove chromatic, enable profile correction. So if there is any aberration, of which I don't think there is, because that's usually caused by an image that is backlit by sun and it produces a halo effect of purple or green, but we'll click it anyway. Now let's go to transform. Notice the angle of this is, it's definitely off kilter here. So what do? Well, there's several things, but to begin with, why is it that off? Look at the curve here to the edge of the picture relationship there and there. So when this was taken by me, I was holding the camera at an angle, at a horizontal angle. So this was closer by just a few inches. Look at the difference here. Than this side. So what happens is that it throws the whole picture off. It's totally kittywampus. You would never get it squared straight. You got to straighten out the horizontal. So in transform, you first work on transform. We're going to move it this way. Click on the constrained crop in the bottom here. That keeps the frame that looks a little closer. Now we can come up and we're going to hit the rotate. So notice your grids there. And we're going to work with the rotate to balance the image with the grid. So find a horizontal line and align that of the building and line that with the rotate with the horizontal. Oop. Now in this case, part of it has to be done with the eye and the other with the tools. Okay. Good, we'll go for that. That's a lot better. And under effects, we won't deal with post-crop vignetting yet. We will near the end, and then the calibration, we won't worry about that right now either. So that's it for our global work, our workflow in the global. And now let's go to specific and begin to highlight and things we want to do differently with specific areas. Let's take this exposure down. First thing, I'm going to lower it on the monitor. Okay. Let's work in the radial tool, and let's start off in shadows. Move all the others out to 0 or close to it. You can do that by clicking on the name of the slider, and that'll 0 them out. Okay, we're going to use shadows at a little bit of exposure. Remember, we're clicked on the elliptical. Put the tool, the cross in the center, pull it down, and then to the side. There it is. Open up a little bit more with the shadows and the exposure. And highlights. If you move them, you'll add or take away from the luminosity of the image there. I like it there. All right, let's come over and do the windows now. So we'll take a new, use the elliptical again. We use these same settings. Grab the bottom of the tool. There we go. All right. Let's pop this up a little bit more. We could add a little yellow to this. Same with this one. There we are. Too much and it gets like a cartoon there. All right, good. Let's grab a new brush up here, elliptical. We're going to work on the lights. So we don't need shadows up so much. We need that, we need exposure, and we want to add a little yellow into the light. There we go. And over here too. Much better. All right. Let's keep with the elliptical. We're going to work some of these areas arbitrarily around here. Let's start with a little bit of the wall, just to give it some sunlight coming in, some shadow. Here we go. Do a little over here. And some down here. How about over here on the bushes a little bit? And our plants. There we are. All right. We'll put a little circle here in the doorway to indicate a little traffic coming in and out. Oops. Let's drop that exposure down a little bit on that one. Good. I'm going to take a new brush and we'll come over here and work the sidewalk. Here we go. Just over here and here. Here's where our sign is. Good. Let's get these lights back up here again. We're getting there. Now let's come up here and grab the radial or the graduated filter, and we'll start at the top and pull it down. We'll bring some of that sky down, or the brightness off of that. There we go. And release your shift key, and then you make your adjustment in your sliders. Exposure, we could add a little blue to this. That's a little better. Come down a little bit more. There we go. Now, let's work with one more tool, and that's the brush tool here. And here's our sliders for the brush tool. We're just going to brush along in here a little bit. There we go. All right, let's leave it at this, work on that. So we're first working with it globally with all the tools and coming back and working principally with the elliptical, the graduated filter, I'm up here at the very top on the right-hand side, and the brush tool. Let's see if we can emulate something along this line of color and highlight. All right, let me know how it works out for you.